You saw it right there. We are seeing catastrophic damage as Hurricane Laura makes landfall along the Gulf Coast.
This morning, Louisiana officials are praying it doesn't come to this, but they are telling those who didn't evacuate from mandatory zones to put their name in a plastic bag in a pocket. It just shows you the grave danger they are dealing with right now.
Scary indeed. So let's bring in Ian right now with team coverage. And Ian, this hurricane has triggered deadly and devastating storm surges, tornadoes, floods, power outages, all up and down the Gulf Coast.
Unreal. That storm surge is always the thing we watch. It's very, very deadly. And the winds with this hurricane. So I want to put this in perspective. You know, when we see a monsoon thunderstorm, we can get winds of 50, 60 mile per hour winds. It lasts maybe a couple of minutes. At Lake Charles, nearby where this thing kind of parked, they had sustained winds of 98 miles per hour. That means a constant wind for quite a long time, just ripping at 98 miles per hour. The gusts, the wind gusts, that was at 132 miles per hour. So those are damaging and destructive winds, and they just go on for hours and hours. It's this constant howl of these winds. It's actually quite scary. The storm to the north and the east, and a lot of folks were under the gun, worried, was this going to go toward Houston or Galveston? We want to take it out live to Courtney Zubowski. She is with CBS News. You used to work here, you used to the heat, you know, Phoenix. What's the situation there? I know you guys aren't at the hardest hit part, you're kind of west of this thing, but what was it like planning for this and deciding where you were going to set up?
Right, well, that cone of uncertainty was pretty wide. So Houston, Galveston area was definitely in that cone of uncertainty. And it wasn't until about yesterday that we saw that it was really going east. And, you know, maybe Houston, Galveston area wouldn't see that big storm surge or wind, and that turned out to be true. Ian, we saw very little rain, very little wind. In fact, today it's going to be a Phoenix day. It's going to be beautiful here. Not as hot, but it will be humid. But just incredible that we're 150 miles away from where this storm took a direct hit, and it's like this. It's just terrible what's going on there. I mean, we're getting reports now of people stuck in their homes, people that didn't evacuate, who want help, but the rescue teams can't get to them because of the water. And then, of course, many people without power, and the winds. Reports now coming out about property damage, but the main concern right now is the loss of life. So as the sun comes up, we're looking to see how bad it really was.
Yeah, and the wind is so intense that they can't even get in there with helicopters to maybe pluck some of the people off of their roofs, and unfortunately they're going to have to wait. A lot of folks did leave. Did you see any people heading your way, heading west, maybe on I-10 before they close it down? Because once the sun comes up, parts of I-10 are likely going to be underwater in Louisiana.
Right, probably in Louisiana, but people, I mean, evacuated 300 miles out, some to San Antonio, some to Austin, and throw into the mix the pandemic right now, and you have a whole issue with the evacuation process. I mean, instead of shelters, instead of people sheltering in large convention centers where you could pass along the virus without social distancing, people were going to hotel rooms, but when they got to hotel rooms in places like Austin and San Antonio, they were turned away because they were full, or some people needed vouchers and they ran out. So just a lot of issues here with a hurricane and a pandemic.
It's kind of inside baseball, but the reason you're not surrounded by 10 feet of water, you guys don't want to put yourself in risk, first responders at risk. You kind of have to set up and take a calculated move. What was the thinking going into that process as far as sending you there?
Right, okay, so CBS has a lot of teams. We actually have, I believe there are 6 crews. A couple are in Lake Charles, one in Orange, another in Port Arthur, and we're here. We happen to be in the place where the storm hit. Call us lucky because we aren't having to go through what they did. I mean, howling wind, buildings shaking, not knowing what's going to happen next. And again, you mentioned, first responders going out. No one can go anywhere right now. It's just too dangerous.
Thanks so much. Lots of folks here at AZ Family remember you, and they say hi. So please be safe. Be safe out there. That's Javier in the background.
I heard. Tell Tess hi. I just heard her voice.
Okay.
Hey, Javi.
Thank you so much.